Welcome to the Leaders Insights podcast. Today's episode, ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini, choosing the right tool instead of the default one. Most senior leaders I talk to have one AI tool they open every morning and use for everything. That habit is quietly costing them output quality. Here to explain why is an AI system specialist who advises executive teams on deployment strategy. Let's get specific. What's the core mistake?
The mistake is treating these platforms as interchangeable when they're genuinely not. ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini were built with different architectural priorities, trained on different data mixes, and optimized for different use cases. Using the wrong one for a given task isn't a minor inefficiency. It's often the difference between a usable output and one that requires significant rework.
Give me a concrete example of that gap.
Take contract length document analysis. If you drop a 100-page legal brief into ChatGPT's interface and ask for a risk summary, you'll get something plausible sounding, but often shallow on nuance. Do the same task with Claude, and the output is noticeably more precise in tracking conditional clauses and flagging contradictions across sections. Anthropic built Claude specifically with long context coherence as a design priority. That's not vendor marketing. That's a consistent finding across independent benchmarks published in early 2026.
Where does ChatGPT actually win then?
Breadth and integrations. By mid-2026, OpenAI's ecosystem has more enterprise plugins, more API adoption, and frankly, more institutional familiarity than the other two. If your team is building a workflow that touches CRMs, internal databases, and third-party tools simultaneously, ChatGPT's infrastructure makes that orchestration considerably easier. It's also still the strongest for code generation in ambiguous, open-ended scenarios where the model needs to make reasonable assumptions and keep going.
And Gemini? Google's been aggressive in positioning it for enterprise.
Gemini's real advantage in 2026 is multimodal reasoning at scale, particularly when the task combines structured data with visual inputs. If a CFO needs to interpret a competitor's earnings presentation, including the charts, tables, and footnotes simultaneously, Gemini handles that cross-model synthesis better than the other two. Google Workspace integration also means it's often the path of least resistance for organizations already running on that stack. But in pure prose generation or nuanced editorial tasks, it still trails Claude.
How should an executive team actually structure this? Are we talking about maintaining 3 separate subscriptions?
For a team of any meaningful size, yes, and the cost is trivial compared to the productivity differential. A realistic model is Claude as the default for writing, analysis, and document work, ChatGPT for coding, automation, and API-dependent workflows, Gemini for anything that lives inside Google's environment or involves heavy visual data. The switching cost is 30 seconds. The output quality difference can be hours of revision time per document.
Final thought for someone leaving this conversation and going straight into their next leadership meeting?
Audit one recurring task this week, something your team does at least 3 times, and run it through each platform. The results will make the right allocation decision obvious. Data beats instinct on this one.
To go further, Leaders Insights offers strategic training programs, diagnostic tools, and an executive self-assessment designed for CMOs, CDOs, CFOs, and leaders aiming for board-level performance. Explore everything at mba-training.com. Thank you for listening to the Leaders Insights podcast. See you tomorrow for another episode.